If you're broke right now in your 20s, I get it. I've been there. You're working hard, maybe paycheck to paycheck. You're wondering how you're ever going to get ahead. But I promise you that being broke right now, it's not the problem, but staying broke is. And the difference between those two comes down to a few key habits that no one ever really taught us. You kind of have to learn on your own. So in this video, I am going to be talking about how to get yourself to a good financial place in your 20s. That way you are no longer stressed about money and you're no longer broke. So let's start out with the first thing here. And that is that being broke, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It's just a phase of life, especially if you're 18, 19, 20, 22, maybe even 25 or 26. Like, it is very common to start out not having that much money. You're very new to the adult world. Everybody starts out broke. It's not the end, it is the starting line. And obviously some people have advantages. Their parents pay for everything. Their parents give them a ton of money. But for just the average person that doesn't have things handed to them, this is your starting point, but it doesn't mean that it has to be the end point. I feel like most people in their 20s, they're not struggling because they're lazy. They're struggling because they haven't been taught the basics. And the problem is that people normalize it. They just say it's fine instead of how can I fix it? So use your 20s to grow as a person as much as possible. Build different skills and slowly build wealth over time. That way you're not just trying to survive the month. The goal isn't to avoid being broke. It is to build real wealth so that you don't stay broke. So one of the first things that you're going to have to do is change your relationship with money. Stop viewing money emotionally. Stop saying that you hate it. Stop saying that you're never going to have enough. Think of money as a tool. It's not the goal, but it's something that gives you freedom and options. For example, if somebody handed you $50 million today, there's a good chance you may never have to work another day in your life. You know, some people may keep working, but it is something that can give you time, and time is a very valuable asset. And so one of the first things you can do is start tracking everything. And I'm mainly talking about the expense side of things. Even if it is ugly, knowledge is power. Knowing how much you're spending on all different kinds of things is going to help you get to a better place financially. You could either use like a free budgeting app, you could use Google Sheets to just track all your expenses and try to see where every dollar goes. This alone might sting at first, but having this level of awareness and knowing where your money is going to start to change your behavior. Because there might even be things where you're like, oh, I thought I was only spending $200 a month on that. No, I'm actually spending $400 or $500. And being able to get this level of awareness is really important, and it can help you start to change the habit so you can develop better money skills. You can't manage something that you're not measuring and keeping track of, and that includes your money. So the first big step here to no longer being broke is to try to build up your income. And how you can build income is by developing different skills. Don't get me wrong, saving is absolutely important, but you also want to make sure that you're trying to earn more money. Maybe not every single year, but each year try different things that you can do to either add more income, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's learning a new skill, whether it's getting some type of certification or qualification. Anything you can do to make yourself more valuable to the job market is going to make you more money. And look at your job right now as temporary income to fund your next skill. You can spend your time learning all different types of skills, whether it's marketing, maybe it's social media, maybe it's coding and AI and things like that. Or you could potentially go to a trade school. I feel like trade schools are starting to come back and become a lot more popular because college is very expensive and the trades aren't getting replaced by AI. Let's just be real. It seems like a lot of them are extremely valuable and they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And this is a very valuable thing too, especially if you don't have a college degree. Like, learning a trade that can pay out really well could be very beneficial long term. So the skills that you build in your 20s can 10x your income by the time you're 30. The most valuable investment in your 20s is going to be in yourself. It's not going to be in any type of asset class. It is in developing your skills so that you can build your income. So this kind of leads me to my next point, and that is to stop flexing and to start focusing on stacking cash any way you can. A lot of people stay broke because they want to look rich before they actually are rich. And this goes for blue collar, white collar, any type of person out there. They get their first, big job, whether it's out of high school or college, and they immediately go out and buy a car that's $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, or they start wearing designer clothes, or they take these fancy trips. And a lot of that can be a trap. I feel like your 20s are the decade to stack cash, not spend it just to try to prove something to other people. And again, everyone's going to experience their 20s differently, but it is a really good time to focus on yourself financially, because once you have a family, if you do decide you want to in your 30s, it is going to be a lot harder to do this. And I also feel like the concept of delayed gratification is so important. Like, being able to invest early on and focus on yourself for 3, 5, 10 years, it's going to put you in a very good position, especially later on. It's essentially going to be buying you freedom down the road. The more money you invest right now, or the more money you make and invest into assets that grow over time, that's going to be the less amount of time you actually have to spend working. And that money can compound into insane amounts over 10, 20, 30 plus years. And I even mentioned this in one of my previous videos about how investing $500 a month can literally turn you into a millionaire. And the best way to do this is to give yourself a long time time horizon. And how do you do that? By starting as early as possible. It's really hard to build wealth if you're trying to look wealthy all the time. Like, try to just track your expenses, live within your means, and focus on developing skills, whether it's, like I said before, whether it's something in your job or whether it's a side hustle, anything you can do to bring in extra money while keeping your expenses flat or as minimal as possible. And again, I'm not saying don't do anything fun, still enjoy your life, don't give up on that, but don't just go out and spend a ton of money for no reason at all. Especially if you're trying to impress other people, that is just such a lame way to go in my opinion. And so the next thing I want to talk about here is building a simple system. Do not overcomplicate your finances. Just track your spending weekly or monthly, save a certain percentage of your income automatically, and then you can take that savings and maybe invest a certain percentage of it into, ETFs. Like, I like to invest in the S&P 500 or VU, or you can take some of that income and invest it into something else, maybe save up a little bit and put that money into a skill that can make you more money later on. And by doing this, it's going to slowly build wealth over time. And then the next thing that's kind of within the system here is trying to increase your income yearly. Now, at the end of the day, you're not going to get promoted every year at your job, but even if you can develop a side hustle that makes you $100 or $200 a month, and that can slowly grow over time, that could definitely help a lot. Year one, let's say it makes you $200 a month, but year three, it's making you $500 or $600 a month. That's going to be quite a bit of money over a 10, 15, 20-year period. And having a simple system in which you can follow is just going to make your financial life so much easier. It doesn't need to be the super complicated thing that people tend to make it out to be. And I've personally noticed that the more automatic your money is, the less discipline you need, because things are just happening on their own. It's not like you're sitting there, having to follow every single little detail. I mean, at first, track your finances very detailed, but then over time, you'll start to build the habit and you'll kind of have an idea as to how much you're spending on certain things. So for example, you may know that groceries you're spending between $150 and $200 a month, or $200 and $250 a month. It'll be kind of within a range. And this is what I've found that works really well. But starting out and trying to not be broke, you definitely want to track it in a more detailed way. And then over time, you can kind of let off the gas a little bit once you develop really good spending habits. And so for me personally, and I've even talked about this in previous videos, when I first got out of college, I felt like a total loser. I wasn't making that much money. I had my bachelor's degree in finance, yet I was driving for DoorDash to pay my bills. I was living within my means, and I started saving money just little by little, and I had these small wins that built momentum. So for example, I'd invest $25 here or $50 there, and before I knew it, I had $1,000 invested, and then I found ways to make more money. And the main thing that worked for me was changing jobs every couple of years. Every 1 to 2 to 3 years, if you change jobs, you can increase your income a lot. But if you're at a company that does value you and they're promoting you and they're constantly giving you, incentives to grow, your income, I would definitely stay there. Do not take that for granted either, especially in today's job market. But where that's led me to today is just having a lot more confidence, a lot more stability, and a lot more growth. And I just feel a lot more confident in the direction I'm going. And I know that you can definitely get there too. Because when I was 21, 22 years old, like I said, I felt like a loser. I felt like I had no sense of direction. And now I'm 27. I definitely feel like I'm in a lot better place. And that doesn't mean to just hit the brakes and not work hard anymore. I still have a lot of improving and so many areas in my life that I need to work on. But I do like the direction I'm going compared to a couple years ago. I didn't really know what direction I was going, and I didn't feel confident about where I would end up. Compared to today, I definitely have a lot more confidence there. And I'm not special at all. I'm just consistent. And I feel like if you can be consistent with yourself too, you can also get there. And so the real reason that your 20s are the best time is because you have compound growth and low risk. You can take a lot of risk in your 20s. You can try different jobs and different careers and things like that. Like if you're married with, 2 kids that are 8 years old and 10 years old and you're 38 or 40 years old, you can't really just go job hop and just take a massive risk or go start a business, because there's a lot of people relying on you at that point. And so if you're not married in your 20s and, you don't have a family yet or anything like that, you can take a lot of risk. Like, time is your friend here, and you can afford to make mistakes now. So just start and at least try. That's the least you can do for yourself. And every dollar and skill that you build now will compound into something way bigger later on. So think about this, like 10 years from now, you'll either wish that you started or you'll be glad that you did. And it's much better to be glad than regret it. And again, do not focus on getting rich fast. Just focus on never being broke again and slowly building wealth over time. Even if you're just looking at a 3 to 5 year period, you can really change your life a lot. And so that is my take on, if you're broke, how to get out of this position. Again, you want to build skills. You want to try to build your income any way you can. Keep those expenses flat. Try to invest in yourself and take risk. You're allowed to take risk. Like I said before, it's not like you're in a position where you can't try a lot of different things. Try a lot of different things. Try to grow a lot as a person, and you will get there. And be patient with yourself, because it does take a lot of time. So that is it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like down below. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.